Hi all, Kristen here. So today I'm dropping in and I want to chat a little bit about this eclipse season, this season of release, and to invite you to a ceremony, an online ritualized release ceremony to help us really take advantage of this potent, energetic time of year. So I want to start by talking a little bit about this season, about the importance of releasing, the importance of letting go. So we live in a society that tends to prioritize doing. And so we don't often see integration, release, that kind of cycle between the time between the harvest and the restart. We tend to try to skip over that kind of natural season of fall, that natural season of rest, right? That release and that rest before we begin again. And so this can be really detrimental to our ability to sustain, our ability to keep things fresh, our ability to keep creating what it is we desire to create. I recently saw something online about a group of, I don't know if it was like genetic scientists or a group of scientists essentially had pumped these redwood trees full of steroids to essentially encourage them to skip their wintering cycle. Now, I've never seen the redwoods in person, but I've seen images of them and I felt their majesty, right? These are trees that can live to be hundreds of years old, potentially even thousands of years old. They can grow massively and they can live for a really long time, like an incomprehensibly long time in our own human lives, right? But when these scientists pumped these saplings full of steroids to prevent them from going through that winter season, that release and that rest, these trees died after 1 year. And so that story really stuck with me, right? Because it was this one reminder that like the way that nature programmed us, even if it doesn't make logical sense, is the way, right? And by that I mean this time of year when the trees let go of their leaves, when they release and they go within and they root and they rest, is an integral part of our survival, of our sustaining, of our thriving, of our continued life on earth, right? And it's also a really beautiful kind of like analogy for like what is happening in our own human-made world, right? That without this time of rest, without this intentional time to reflect and release and recalibrate, we are not able to sustain, right? And we're seeing this in the way that different structures are breaking down, in the way that more and more people are struggling to access rest, struggling with insomnia, struggling with feelings of anxiety, struggling with feelings of loneliness and depression, right? We are seeing this manifest, right? That the symptoms of this lack of rest, this lack of letting go, are all over our world, right? And we can debate on what causes these and what doesn't, right? But the point that I'm really trying to make here is that rest, recalibration, release are integral to not just our survival, but our thriving, our ability to really dream bigger, our ability to do more, right? It requires that we let go. It requires that we rest and recalibrate. And so we're in a season of big letting go, right? Within the last couple weeks, we moved through the autumnal equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere. We moved through a full moon in Aries, and we will and are moving towards eclipse season, right? Eclipse portals, the time when we are invited by the universe, right? As above, so below, to release, to let go, to really rethink and recalibrate, right? And so this can be physical releases, right? The trees are literally showing us how to do this by dropping their leaves, right? This could be energetic releases, right? We're releasing our connection to maybe old patterns, old mindsets, old stories, right? This could be releasing, for all of us, it's going to be different, right? Like this could literally be as big as like a career change or moving cities, to as small as like clearing out our closet or decluttering our desk or buying ourselves a new journal, right? There are ways that we can do this in really subtle, intentional ways and really big, powerful ways as well. I want to name that letting go is not easy always, right? Sometimes it is. Sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, this thing has a hole in it. I have to just get rid of it. It's done. This doesn't serve me anymore. And sometimes, more often than not, we hold on to things longer than they serve us, right? So we stay at a job even though it's stealing our life force, even though it's making it difficult for us to experience joy outside of that space, even though it's making us dread our days, right? We can stay in relationships too long, right? Relationships that are no longer lifting us up, relationships that are sucking us dry, relationships that are making us feel shitty after we've engaged in them, right? And as humans, we have this tendency to prioritize familiarity and our sense of comfort that comes from that familiarity over what actually feels good, right? Over that unfamiliar or mysterious thing that may feel better than we've ever imagined we could feel, right? It could be, there's all sorts of reasons, right? Why we stay in our comfort zone, why we choose to stay safe in the familiar, even if it's a detriment to our highest self, a detriment to our ability to dream and experience joy and experience pleasure and experience wonder, right? And there are some people who believe that those experiences of joy and wonder and awe and pleasure and satisfaction are kind of like secondary, right? And I'm definitely of the mindset that like those are the primary, right? Like those are the primary things that we are here to experience: joy, pleasure, satisfaction, excitement, awe, right? And that we can design our life to experience those things. The other thing that can really stop us from letting go is what was coming through is like our addiction to certain beliefs, certain stories, certain feelings, right? And I specifically feel like that word addiction was coming through because it is this relationship with these stories that don't serve us, that isn't actually helping us, but gives us some kind of like hit, right? It gives us some kind of comfort. It gives us some kind of sense of familiarity or safety, right? And so these stories can be like limiting stories that reinforce our unworthiness, stories that reinforce scarcity, stories that reinforce that like the world's out to get us, that like nothing good can come to us, that like we're destined to just like fail, that we didn't succeed before, and so now we will never succeed, right? Like these are narratives, these are stories that can become really addictive, right? They can start playing in the background of our mind, and we don't even notice them, right? We unconsciously press play and they take over our day, right? We don't even realize that we've like sat down in front of this like harmful narrative, and before we know it, we've watched the whole season. You know what I mean? It's like we unconsciously binge these negative stories of ourselves, and they become so addictive, so familiar, so safe feeling, that the idea that we're limitless, that the idea that we are magnificent children of the universe, this idea that we are love incarnate, that we are light and love in beautiful embodied expression, becomes threatening, right? Like those high, what I'll call like high vibrational, limitless, expansive beliefs of ourself, this idea that the universe is infinitely abundant and there's enough for all of us, right? This idea that everything that we have in our life is an expression of something that we desire on a subconscious level, that we are actively creating our life, whether we're in love with it or in hate with it. We are the we wield the paintbrush, right? We are creating the masterpiece of our life. And so whether that is a nightmarish terror or like a beautiful paradise, right? Like we're the ones in control of that. And all of those, again, what I'll just call kind of like high vibrational, awakened consciousness ideas can become very threatening to those unconscious stories that we binge. And so when we go through a process of releasing, when we start to dig into what we want to release, it's often that resistance will flare, right? That some part of us is like, no, we can't let go of that. It's unsafe, right? Even though it most likely is totally safe to let go of that, there's some part of us that will be resistant. And so I love or want to bring up that, because sometimes when resistance flares, we can say, oh, I guess this really was for me. I guess like it's really not time for me to let go of this. I guess like I really should stay like stuck in this place, right? And that's just like simply not true, right? Like resistance is trying to keep us safe, but it's trying to keep us safe with outdated programming, software information, right? It's trying to keep us safe when its perception of safety is an illusion, right? And so it's really important for us to honor, make space for, respect, work through resistance, right? And so that's why I'm really excited to be able to offer a Eclipse portal resistance ceremony that will be happening on Wednesday, October 4th in 2023. And if you're watching this after, trust that there is perfect divine timing. You can still purchase that release ceremony. You can still get that recording. The messages that come through, the energy that comes through is timeless and is available for you in your perfect space and time. So if you're seeing this 2 months from now, 3 months from now, whatever time increment from this moment that I'm recording it in October, it's still for you, right? Like you will find this at the perfect time for you. And if you're listening to this right now, then this is for you. And I encourage you to click on that link below to either pre-register or purchase the recording. So we're entering into eclipse season. Eclipse season is essentially a time of year. It almost always takes place now in this, let me just say, it takes place at the perfect time for us, but it takes place when we are being invited to let go. When the universe is essentially like setting the stage for us to let go of anything that's holding us back, to let go of anything that's keeping us small, to let go of anything that is preventing us from living in our highest alignment, anything that's preventing us from living our highest expression of self, anything that is preventing us from claiming our divine right to live ecstatically free, abundant, wildly wealthy, in pleasure and prosperous, right? And feel free to add in what are your kind of like code words for the life that you're dreaming of, right? This is what release allows us, right? Release allows us space to dream bigger, space to be bigger, right? I'm thinking of anyone who's ever done like a decluttering of any space in your house, whether it's a closet, a drawer, a room. There is an elevated sense after that is decluttered, right? There is a way that like our energy, our self kind of is able to take up more space, stand more tall, right? So when we clear, we create space for more of the good, more of the bounty, more of the pleasure, right? And so it's really potent to do ritual releases, right? To come together in ceremony as a community to do releases. Why? One, ritual and ceremony are like beautiful magic wands, right? Like they're not necessarily gonna like make it right away, but they create catalysts, portals, and opportunities for us to step into new ways of being, right? There's a reason why like our ancients and people all around the globe used to come together in sacred ceremony, gather in circle, and perform rituals, right? This is ancient wisdom that is still available to us now, right? It enables us to create out of time and space, to create portals into, larger expressions of ourselves. The other reason why it's really potent and powerful for us to come together is because a lot of what we are releasing right now, and by we, I mean like if you're watching this, you're included in that we, right? A lot of what we as a collective human family are releasing right now is old limiting beliefs, right? Old trauma that was never healed in past lifetimes or ancestors' lifetimes that we are now choosing to heal, right? We are reclaiming our identity as manifestors, as light workers, as healers, as part of a human family, right? Like we're reclaiming and reframing our identity, right? We are releasing old stories that make us scared of or mistrust our inner voice, our inner wisdom, our intuition, our inner magic, right? We are shedding things along like the witch wound. We are shedding things around trauma around having to assimilate, right? Like we have lived through generations of trauma where we were told that we have to assimilate to one single normal. And if we don't assimilate to that normal, then we will be punished, harmed, brutalized, kicked out, even killed, right? And so we're healing and releasing all that we learned about how to stay safe and assimilate so that we can be our unique expression now, right? We are healing and clearing the trauma and the pain around having to silence ourselves, around having to stay small so that we can be big and bold expressions of ourselves, right? We are releasing narratives that tell us that life, we have to struggle and work hard and that we don't get to experience pleasure, right? We're releasing stories about limiting beliefs about who we can be, what we can be, where we can be, what we can create, right? So this isn't just like one individual person like releasing some like old t-shirts that they don't want anymore. I mean, that's a powerful thing to do if that calls you. But this is about like big level, like individual and collective, that melding and merging of the like personal is political, individual is like as within, so without, right? As we as individuals let go and release these stories, these beliefs, these narratives, these behaviors that have been ingrained into our mindset, our body, our hearts, our cells, our DNA, as we release all of that, we create space for us to be the brilliant, radiant, bold expressions of the universe that we are, right? And so when we come together as a collective, we're able to do bigger work, right? I think of it as like an exponential thing, right? You have one and it's like, it's big. You have two, it's like bigger. You have like 10, it's like, whoa, like exponential growth. And so when we come together, we're able to heal on a like individual level, collective level, soul level, energetic level. It's compounded. It's so powerful, right? The distillation, the purity is magnified when we come together and do this as community. So on that note, I invite you to register for that release, reach out to me about other group programmings that I do, about other group ceremonies that I do. And I'll end this with just inviting us to do a short visualization to really help us release and let go. So I'm going to invite you to settle in. Maybe you want to wiggle a little bit, take a couple deep breaths. If it feels good, let your eyes close. If it doesn't, go ahead and let your eyes fall gently on something in your space that is pleasing. Maybe you look out the window. Maybe you look at some art. Maybe you stare at a plant. I'm going to invite you to just start breathing in and out in your own cadence. And as you breathe, I'll invite you to imagine that a beautiful light, maybe it's golden, maybe it's pink, maybe it's yellow, begins to shine down on you from above, from the universe. And this light, it's nice and warm. and soothing, and it begins to just envelop your whole body in brilliant light. Maybe it moves in through the crown of your head, filling your inner body as well as your outer body, shining a light on all aspects of yourself. And I'll let you just breathe here, feeling that you are seen, held, and loved by the universe right now. And as you continue to feel that golden, warm light of the universe, that loving gaze of the universe fill you and surround you, I'll invite you to imagine that you have some tendrils, some roots that begin to grow out from the bottom of your body and stretch into the ground, connecting you with the earth below. And as you breathe here, you can breathe in that grounded energy, feeling yourself held and supported by the earth. And as you breathe out, you can just imagine, allow yourself to release anything that wants to be let go. You don't have to force it. You just have to allow it, imagining it moving out of your body through your roots and into the ground. And as we breathe here, connected below, connected above, held in that divine space between, I want you to begin to imagine some sort of seed or nut. Notice what this seed or nut looks like. Notice its texture and its shape and its color. Maybe you imagine it in your hands or floating in front of you or on the ground in front of you. Maybe you want to imagine picking it up so you can feel it. So you can really notice it now. How does it feel in your hand? What does it look like? Maybe you know what kind of plant this seed or nut will grow, or maybe you don't, and that's okay. Just invite you to breathe here with this seed, with this nut. And as you come into awareness of this seed or nut that you are visualizing, that you imagine yourself holding or being in its presence, I invite you into the deep awareness that this small little being holds the codes for a magnificent plant to grow. Just hold that knowingness in your being. Continue to breathe here, just attuning to this energy of seed, attuning to this energy of nut. And I'll name that the seed that came to me is an acorn seed, so I can feel the texture of it. I can also visualize the mighty oak that will grow from this seed. And so I'll invite you to continue holding this seed in your hands, or if it's in front of you, just allow it to be in front of you. And now begin to imagine that this seed is starting to germinate and grow. So there's stuff going on the inside that maybe you can't see, but maybe you can sense. And soon, whether it's held in your hand or in front of you, a little baby sprout will begin to crack open this shell and grow. So, from this point, I will invite you to imagine that you can either plant this seed, envision yourself in the ground, just planting it. Maybe you want to plant it in your own heart or your belly. And wherever you have imagined, visualized the seed being planted, I'll invite you to just start sending it love, sending it positive encouragement, sending it awe. And imagine that we can fast forward time now so that this seed starts to grow at a rapid speed. The shell around it deteriorates and breaks down as the roots shoot down into the earth, and the sprout stretches high into the sky. The seed begins to transform completely into a plant, into a tree, into some kind of other being. And I'll invite you to just notice here, just watch here, just allow yourself to witness this transformation. The transformation of this seed, this nut, into a mighty tree, bush, plant. And as this plant being grows, maybe it's merging with you inside your body, maybe it's in front of you, you imagine it growing in front of you. I invite you to just breathe here and invite this plant to give you a message. Maybe you hear this message, maybe you sense this message, maybe you just have a deep knowing of what this message is. Just allow it to wash over you. Send gratitude to this plant, this seed that has shown you firsthand what kind of transformation is possible in our world today. Take that message and just hold it close to you, trusting whatever it is that you received. And I'll invite you to really let it sink in. Let it sink in that this complete transformation is possible. Let it wash over you that sometimes we need to let the shell fall away. That we need to go through a journey of unbecoming so that we can be who it is we want to be. That we need to release our perspective of who we were as the seed so that we can grow into the mighty plant we are born to be. So I invite you to take 2 or 3 more deep breaths here as you breathe in this deep awareness, this deep knowing. And as you just release any resistance to your own becoming, breathing in, just allowing this medicine, this wisdom from the nature to just enter into your being. Breathe out. Breathe out any resistance or separation you feel from the natural world. I'll take 1 more deep breath in here and out. And as you continue breathing, I'll invite you to start blinking some light back into your eyes if your eyes were closed, and just coming back in to awareness of where you are right now. I'll invite you to drop into your journal and journal what came through, remembering that you can always rewind this video and go back into that experience. And I just want to remind you again that wisdom that was coming through from those seeds and those nuts, right? That sometimes who we were was just preparing us for who we're meant to be, right? That just because we've lived most of our life as the seed doesn't mean that we're any less worthy to becoming that tree, to becoming that plant, right? That maybe now is that time when we are meant to shed our outer shell so that we can grow into who we were meant to be. And so if that's speaking to you, again, I invite you, reach out to me, join me for that release ceremony, purchase the recording, reach out to me if you're wanting one-on-one support, energy healing to really help you to release so that you can step into the powerful being you were meant to be. We were here to grow bigger than the containers they gave us. We were here to grow larger than we've ever imagined we could be. And this is for you. If you're watching this, this is meant for you. This bigness is meant for you. It's yours to claim. And so if you want support, support is here for you. Reach out to me. I delight in offering energy healing sessions and coaching sessions and channeled wisdom sessions to help my clients release that gunk, release those barriers so that they can really shine, so that they can radiate their truth, so that they can be the change that they long to see in the world. Because if you are here right now, you have something to offer. If you are here right now, we need you. You are needed, and you are loved, and I love you. And I'm so glad that you joined me here. And I'm excited to continue sharing this wisdom with you and continue to get to know you better. So please, if this resonated, hop in those comments, like, subscribe. Let me know what kind of seed you imagine. Let me know how the visualization went. We are more powerful together. The more that we are able to verbalize, talk about, and normalize our experiences as intuitive, mystic, magical beings, the more that will just become the norm, and we won't have to hide in our witchy broom closets anymore, and we won't have to hide our magic, but we will be able to celebrate each other and ourselves for how marvelous and glorious we are. So thank you. I'll see you next time, and bye now.